I'll bring us in, shall I?
Yes, please
Welcome
do.
to the podcast, Sales Unscripted Podcast. Brian Neal.
And Margaret Henny.
And we're here every week to give you some fun little tips about selling. And we were just getting ready. By the way, it's real talk, real people, real selling. It's our little tagline there. And I was just asking Margaret before she was kind of in the studio, and she was sitting here just kind of waiting. And I said, she goes, well, does my headphone jack, do I plug it in there? I said, sure. Yeah, you just do. I said, did you take any production classes in college? like TV stuff, just she did theater stuff, but not like, no. So then she just said, I can't hear you. And I what did I do, Margaret?
You reached down, you turned the volume up.
I did.
Like
so
a sensible
it's not sensible. Some people, when it comes to the electronic things,
listen, I'm gonna blame it on Monday. I don't know if that's fair, but I'm gonna say that it's a Monday thing. So
that's so funny.
Gosh darn it,
Here
we go.
Life. That's good. So we're turned on.
Yes.
It's a good little rule of thumb in life for you listeners. If something's not working, first, make sure it's plugged in. Second, make sure it's turned on. Third, make sure any dial or thing that needs to be turned up is turned up. Then troubleshoot.
Then call support.
That's good. Then call support. That was
so
awesome.
Funny,
it was
man.
awesome. But it's so funny, too, isn't it, what we do? Because we do, like, when we don't know something, we're on, like, oh, it's not working. It's not working. Like,
this is like my mom,
it's a
too.
thing.
Classic. Sorry, Kathy. Like, as soon as she can't find her purse, she goes, oh, my God, I can't find my purse. She hasn't looked for it. There's been no searching whatsoever for the purse or phone or whatever it is that's missing. Oh. She just immediately goes into panic mode. And I'm really like, funny. Well, where might it be? Let's start there.
Kathy.
So, I know.
Kathy lost her purse.
Gosh.
Is your family lose stuff family or always know where things are family?
We pretty much know where things are, but when we do lose things, it is like the apocalypse, like meltdown city. So there's the whole team melts down. We're one of those, when everything's going well, we like are great. Like, man, the team is flowing. Like, we're just a well-oiled machine. But if something goes wrong, we all turn on each other. Like, it's instead of being funny. Like, will you help me out? It's like, well, you didn't do this.
Oh, that's good.
It's your fault. Whatever.
So it's great when it's great. It sucks when it sucks.
Yes,
sort of deal.
Exactly.
It's really funny. I'm a keys, wallet, phone guy.
Oh,
I always know where my keys, wallet, and phone are. Always.
Oh, nice.
And I tap. I do physical taps. So leave the house, keys, wallet, phone.
So
tap,
smart.
tap.
You gotta
physical
know.
hit on every time.
Yep. The only time I do that is when I'm traveling, and I obsessively look for my passport.
Do you really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I could see that. That's a thing.
Because I'm like,
totally.
My rule is if I have my passport in my wallet, I can do anything. And
That's
usually my swimsuit. I take my swimsuit.
My swimsuit and my passport.
Everywhere I go. It's like if I could be going to Alaska.
That's really funny.
Or I could be doing a weekend trip to, I don't know, Poughkeepsie. It does not matter. My swimsuit is coming with me for sure.
That's an interesting thing. I never thought about that.
That's what I pack. So.
It's funny. Let's see. What are we talking about today?
Okay. Well, actually, this kind of like segues in because we're talking about who we are and our personalities and all this sort of thing. So, all right, I'm very into this, but has anybody, hopefully you guys have heard of this, the Enneagram?
Yeah.
And, it's sort of like, it's a personality test. It's not as much geared towards work necessarily because there are some out there like, the DISC or, whatever the different personality tests are. There is a bunch of them and they're all like spooky accurate.
Right.
But for some reason, the Enneagram is the one that I just like really, really love. You answer all these questions, see, what your assessment is, where you are good, where you're bad, whatever, all this. And also, I shouldn't say where you're good and where you're bad because they're very big about being like, none of the types are bad.
But let's call it what it is. They are.
I know.
They are. I love all the assessment tools. Like, there's no right and wrong with this. Yes, there is. There is a right and wrong. Yes. Yeah, if you're going to be an accountant, to say that you have poor attention to detail is wrong. It's bad. It doesn't work. It doesn't make you a bad human.
Exactly.
But for certain things, it's wrong. That's very funny. They all do the same thing.
So I am, and I have taken the test multiple times. I am a 9. 9 is a peacemaker. And I can like kind of get on board with it, but I actually want to be a 7. I continue to retake it because I really want to be a 7, which I think 7 is like the enthusiast or something.
Correct.
And they're like,
correct.
They're just
what's
a
your
lot
secondary one? Secondary one.
I think today. 8. I'm a 9
you're a
wing
9
8, which is a challenger.
Yeah.
And I don't like the challenge. See, this is the problem. There
Really?
are things I don't like
You don't
about
like who
it.
you are.
I don't like who I am.
You can accept who you are, Margaret, but you do. I know you do, but maybe you don't. That's it. So you're a 9/8.
9 wing 8.
So
yes,
for those of you who are unfamiliar,
let's hear the types
with the Enneagram. So you take this test like you do with most, and it puts you in these categories of people that are kind of like your dominating personality trait, behavioral trait, like the way that you are.
Yeah.
Okay, it's how you show up to others.
Yeah,
okay?
exactly.
There are 9 types. Okay, they're fairly self-explanatory in the name. First one's the reformer. Think of like principled, purposeful, self-controlled perfectionist. That's the reformer.
Love it.
Everything's like neat and tidy. The helper, caring, people-pleasing, generous. The helper. The achiever, goal-oriented, success-driven, that sort of thing. The individualist, withdrawn, dramatic, self-absorbed, temperamental.
I've dated a lot of those.
Not currently. Just
No,
in the
not
past.
currently. No, not
the individualist. The investigator, cerebral, thoughtful, innovative, that kind of thing. The loyalist, committed, security-driven, maybe a little anxious and suspicious. The enthusiast, busy, fun-loving, spontaneous, scattered.
That's what I want to
be. That, isn't it?
I want to be that.
The challenger, powerful, dominating, self-confident, willful, confrontational.
That's not me.
It sounds like it, though.
No.
Well, no, but I mean, you're a wing.
I
And
know.
when Margaret says wing, you get this predominant one.
Yes, thank
and
you.
you wing this other one's kind of your secondary. And then here's you, the peacemaker. Self-effacing, receptive, reassuring, agreeable, complacent. You don't like complacent, do you?
No, but
No.
it's totally me. I am
Is it?
I am
You're
a
just very,
complacent.
like nice and steady Eddie, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Well, and the reason is because, with the, you don't want to ruffle feathers, right? And so
Not if you're a peacemaker.
complacent. I know.
Yeah.
That's kind of my whole thing is I like everybody to get along. I want it to go well. I want everybody to be happy, blah, blah, blah. And so if you are ruffling feathers, sometimes I will avoid things because I'm like, ooh, that's going to be a hard conversation.
Oh, interesting.
So, and everybody.
Did you do that in selling?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. So that's why I was thinking like, okay, where was the peacemaker great in selling and where was there stuff that I really struggled with that I kind of needed to work on? And one of them was the complacency.
Yeah.
Because I would be like, ooh, I think I know what they're going to say. If I think I'm going to get a no, if I think, whatever, I'll avoid it. And then guess what? That deal's dead.
Yeah, totally.
Rather than just
Totally.
saying like, hey, let's have a conversation. And it might not. Like it might have not have gone the way that I was anticipating,
Yeah.
but I was just like so fearful of
Yeah.
them being confrontational that I would just not talk about it.
It could also be not just dead, it could be in purgatory, which is even worse.
Yeah. Oh man, I had a lot of deals that I
Interesting.
just hung on to. Like my pipeline was massive,
Oh,
and I had to go through and clean it out like once every
interesting.
quarter instead of doing it consistently.
The peacemaker pipeline.
I know. Shame on
Very
me.
thick. Yeah. So I think for you listening today, things to think about. One is the concept of idea of self-awareness comes forward for me. And if you've not taken the Enneagram, can you take it for free?
Oh yeah,
online?
totally.
I think you can,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
So if you've never taken the Enneagram, you should take one. If you've not taken it, take something else. You need to have some sort of external tool that helps you have better self-awareness. Because we all like to think we're certain ways and we're not, right?
See,
Like
I
to
thought
think
I was
we
a
are.
7.
You did.
I'm not a 7.
And so that's kind of step one of this thing is knowing who you are. And then figuring out where that helps or hinders you.
Yeah.
That's what I like to think with these things, because while they're not right and wrong, there's definitely elements of each that can be really helpful and some that can really hold you back. So you want to be a 7, and I am a 7.
Gosh,
And I'm not sure you want to be a 7.
Why not? Everybody
Well,
loves a 7.
Listen to these two things, though. Distractible and scattered. Distractible
Would
and
you say that that's
scattered.
true about you?
Very, yes, because you get all these things. I mean, I just put 2 debit cards into my wallet while we were, I don't know if you noticed. I said, here's what's cool about this. So these are new debit cards. You know what these are debit cards for?
No.
New companies that I just started.
That you just
Which sounds really
started?
cool and fun, doesn't it? Yep.
Wait,
Yeah,
say more. I'm confused.
Well, no, that's the thing. So I started these companies all the time. And then I go out and start bank accounts.
I get
So there's
it.
look, Blind Zebra Vino. Started a wine company.
That's cool.
And then where's the other one? There's another one here somewhere. But you get the point,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So next thing you know, people are like, good gosh, settle down. There's Brian Neal Speaks, LLC.
Oh man, you must have
Blind
points
Zebra.
out the yin
So
yang.
this is true. Blind Zebra. So the point though is that can really, really suck the wind out of people. They're like, dude, focus, sit still for a minute, you know?
Yeah.
And sometimes these things don't follow through to fruition because you always start the next thing. Next thing you know, you got a a wallet full of debit cards and there's no money in any of the accounts.
Yeah.
See, that's no bueno. No good.
No way. Where do you feel like the 7 hindered you? Because then we'll talk about what's good.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, for sure.
So for me, I was like, I had a hard time having hard conversations, right?
Yes.
Which you have to have in sales, and also it can't all be about the good things. You have to be honest about like, hey, this is what you're looking for. Ugh, here's where this might not work or where this might not line up, or let's slow down a little bit, stuff like that. So I had a hard time at that.
Yes.
What did 7? Where was it difficult for you?
There's not a list long enough. There's not a spreadsheet big enough to capture all the opportunities that I lost simply because I didn't follow up on them. And I'm not kidding. I'm talking about the easiest, simplest sales 101.
Yeah.
You say you're going to do something, do it. I'll send the proposal over. Nothing. I'm talking nothing. And I used to be like dramatically embarrassed by that, especially as a sales coach.
Yes.
Now I have systems in place to keep that from happening.
I could hug you right now
Still
because
happens.
like I have that. I
deal.
used to have that problem too.
Yeah.
And I love that you're saying that because it's the most like just kind of like, hand to forehead sort of thing that you're
Totally.
like, just do the thing. And sometimes it's just hard to do.
Yes. We lost a huge opportunity to a huge growing company that a lot of people have heard of. Had 6 meetings, followed the process meticulously, clear future dates, clarity on everything, boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
Chief Revenue Officer came into the mix a little bit late and wanted to talk to me personally.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, cool, we'll do that. So we're talking. I'm walking out in front of my office. I'm doing this little thing that I do. When there's those little concrete things in front of parking spots. They're like balance beams.
Yeah, totally.
So I walk on those when I'm talking.
I do
I'm
that
walking.
too.
Isn't that funny?
Yes.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm balance beaming, talking to this guy. It's like June. And I had a meeting right after this, and I owed him. He's like, here, I want to get this thing from you and that. I'm like, done deal, dude. I'll get you introduced to one of my clients. Boom.
Yeah.
I got to roll. I said, normally I set a date. I got to roll inside. I went inside. 3 weeks later, I'm like, whatever happened to that? Da-da-da. Can't you say the name?
Yeah.
That was on. You were supposed to do something. I'm like, oh my God, seriously, like your stomach drops.
Yep, just dropped.
I'm like, done. Like that's it. Like that's it. It's over. If I'm him, there's no way I'm hiring me to be my sales coach.
Yeah. And it was purely just from forgetting it?
Totally.
Or it wasn't?
100%.
Okay.
Without having a system, which I have a system. I didn't follow the system that I have.
Yep.
To dump that into it we do ththese things called productivity pods around here to get stuff done.
Yeah.
Immediate drop into. That's the only thing I had to do. All I had to do was text my person Kelly. Kelly she makes all that happen.
That's a hard lesson to learn, but I know it very well too.
That's it. That's the 7. That's the drop on the 7 that would be the biggest one.
Well, okay, so let's talk about our good stuff too, because we like to have balance, right?
For sure. Yeah.
So okay, for me,
what's
I
great
think
on the peacemaker?
Yeah, for the peacemaker. So peacemaker is very like they're also like, we can just intuit people's feelings a lot. So we kind of know what's going on with them. We're really good at reading the room.
Yes.
We're really good at inclusion and bringing other people into it. So I was great, particularly when it was like a group selling. So there's multiple decision makers. I'm asking them good questions about, what's important to them. Hey, you haven't spoken up yet. I really want to hear from you. Like, and really a lot of quick rapport building.
Love it.
Like that just comes super naturally to me and makes me feel like I'm in my flow. So
you are.
Those things were good.
That's your jam too. You're very, very, very good at that.
Thank you.
Very good at that. I've observed that. Well, what's funny is because I see also your wing number, the Challenger, pop up in that too.
Oh, tell me how.
Where I'll see, we might be talking about something, and you have no problem saying, I don't think that's the right direction. I think we need to consider this, or no, he won't. Like you're very okay. Where most peacemakers are not okay with that, you're still okay with that.
Yeah, that's
little
true.
pushback, and it's a very nice, kind way.
Oh, thank you.
It's very, very good.
I think it's when I am intuiting other people too. I'm like, ooh, I want everybody to make, everybody
Yes.
feel good and included. Yeah. And if there's something that's going to exclude somebody or make them upset, I don't want that. So I'm like, ooh, let's bring it back around. So
everybody, yeah, you should try that when your family loses the keys to
know.
the boat or something like that, and you guys are all beating the hell out of each other.
Exactly.
Mine on the good side of the enthusiast is in the name. So I tend to have, and I'm actually kind of low energy today, but usually I am really high energy. Yep. And even when I'm low energy, people don't like, you're really high energy, but I feel very low energy today. And that tends to be contagious. It just lifts people up. Come into a room and it's just for whatever reason because people always give that feedback and it's weird because they get the feedback. They're like, give us feedback on the session or whatever. Like, we just love Brian's energy. We love the positiveness. We love that. And I just don't see that. It's just so natural.
Really?
I just don't even see it. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like positive energy.
Yeah.
Don't see it.
Oh, that's
so that's
funny.
that's part of that. And then there's also a part of this, the enthusiast, and I'm not sure it's in here directly. I think anything's possible, not like in a naive way, but I'm always like, people go, well, we loved it, whatever. I want to make $1 million. And I'd be like, oh, cool. They're like, but I can't. I'm like, why not? Like, I literally don't understand why you can't. Like, it's not. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but let's figure out a way that would be cool.
So you're big into just like stretch goals.
Let's figure it out.
Like, let's put it out there.
Yes.
Like, let's not dream small.
No,
I like
no,
that.
never. Just because you got nothing to lose. I mean, I've got shit written down on my business. I don't know if you know this. What's actually right over there?
Where?
So I have on one of my goals to win an Oscar. One of
What?
my goals is to win an Oscar for writing a story, for adapted story.
Oh
That's
my God,
goal.
I
So I've got
love
all these
that.
treatments written out. Treatments like when you kind of write a synopsis. There's one. See that one right on top of there under that envelope?
Yes.
That's a treatment called "Save Me San Francisco."
Is that like, was it a book or what was it?
It's a story.
It's a story.
It's a story that will be made into a movie called "Save Me San Francisco."
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's so great.
I'll tell you about it. You'll kind of like it. It's too much to tell here. But the point is, people like, you'll have people say, oh, I always wanted to write a movie. And I'm like, okay.
Let's do it.
Well, I just opened my iPad one day. I was on a plane. I'm like, this would be a cool story. And I just started typing.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do.
Okay,
That's the enthusiast.
And what I have to say, too, is that people who are listening, what you might not know about Brian is that when he does set a goal and he writes it down, like, it's not just one of those things that he, like, doesn't work towards. Like, for instance, you wanted to referee the Super Bowl.
Right.
You made that
Right.
happen. You made that goal a long time ago, and then you had it come to fruition.
That's it.
So I believe
That's what
you,
it is. That's what it is. And so I think that's a benefit to an enthusiast because it helps people that I coach or work with see things that they may have seen as impossible.
Yeah.
And there's a downstroke to that. It scares people.
Oh, really?
Scares people.
It's
totally.
just kind of intimidating?
I don't think it's intimidating. I think because the gap's too big. I think some people that are wired. So if you're a salesperson, you're listening to this, you likely are. Use the income as an easy thing, like commission income.
Yeah.
And when I say to someone, how much did you make last year? And they go, I made 200,000. I'm like, what would it take for you to make $1 million? They would go, there's no way I can make $1 million. And I would go, well, is your commission plan capped? Well, no, but that's always the answer. No, but I'm like, okay. And so sometimes I'm like, well, because that no but is so strong to them, they don't want to let it go. They want to hang on to why they can't versus exploring how they could.
Well, and some people have a fear of success.
They absolutely
and
do.
I don't know exactly what that's about, and maybe it's an Enneagram type, who knows, but where you're more comfortable kind of staying in your lane and being like, hey, I can do this, but if I don't know what that is. It's not a fear of, the opposite of the fear of failure. It's a fear of success.
Yeah.
The heck is that about?
I know.
We need a therapist.
We do. Well, what? Tell me about that though, because that's in your 9.
Yeah.
One of the words says complacent.
And
you said yes earlier. So is that part of that?
Gosh, maybe. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what the complacency is. It comes around to sometimes I have a little bit of a perfectionist. And so that will stymie me because I'll be like, ooh, if I can't do it exactly right, because it's sort of like when you said you sat down and started writing your screenplay or, whatever, I would think in my head, ooh, I want to really get it right in my head first, because if I start writing it, and it's sort of like, the shitty first draft.
Yes.
Everybody has to write. Like the first draft is always shitty no matter what. Right? So you got to go back and fix it and all this sort of thing. And it's something about getting it down and having it not be great right away that makes me feel like it's never going to be great.
So interesting.
I know. So
this is great. So our listeners, and maybe we'll do. Let's see. So we've done a lot of self-reflection in this episode. Maybe what we could do in the next episode is say, so this is us. This is knowing yourself first. So if you're listening to this, your to-dos are go do the Enneagram.
Yeah.
Use some tool, if it's not that, to get self-aware and really examine how these help or hinder you, because they do both, right? That's a takeaway from today's episode. Then what if next episode we talk about the buyer?
Yeah, I think,
and how to take cues of the buyer and how to mesh up to like what you and I do strategically when we get with certain people how we adapt, how we stay authentic while we adapt. I think that's on there. Is that cool?
Yeah, exactly. And I was going to say that because this actually plays on something we talked about last time, or a couple times ago, maybe about mirroring.
Oh, yes.
Right. Like, is that authentic? Is it not?
Yes,
like, is it more about adaptability? But like, there are some great tools out there to help you get a little bit of an idea about the persona of who you're selling to, what they're like, and just some good clues so you can be prepared for that, which is I always found that to be really helpful.
Yes. And this is a thing I think everyone struggles with, especially these days where we're remote selling. We sometimes don't have the cues that we would have otherwise when you go meet someone physically face to face.
Yeah.
That you're a little more limited in your data set than you used to be.
Yeah, I love that. But yes, absolutely. Take your Enneagram. Also, I will say there is no bad Enneagram for selling. No. Like there are for things like being an engineer or like, you know what I mean? But like all of the personality types, there's going to be pros and cons. So don't feel like you're like, oh my gosh, am I really made for this? And then go take your Enneagram test and see if it lines up. Like that's not the point. Like if it's it doesn't matter really kind of who you are, but it'll give you some great clues. And then I had a wonderful mentor for a while. And unfortunately she's passed away now, but Tamara Zahn.
Oh, Tamara Zahn.
Yeah.
She was super famous.
I know. She was like
I was on a board with her.
Yeah, she was in
Church of Downtown East.
Yep, that's it.
I was on a board with Tamara.
Yep.
She passed away.
She did. Yeah, during COVID. And
she did?
Yes. And
I
it was
didn't know that.
Really, really sad. I feel like women all over this city, it turns out, were mentees of this woman.
Yes.
And she just was so generous. So I loved her so much. But she was such a helpful woman to me. And she talked to me about being in my flow and noticing. We talk about this a lot. And I get it from her because she would say, I want you to just throughout your day, when you're feeling high energy and time is going by fast, write down and notice what it is that you're working on. And when you feel like completely drained and sucked of whatever is happening, write that down and notice it because we're going to try to tailor whatever your job or, things are to make it something where you're more in your flow rather than fighting against the things that really drain you. And it was such an epiphany for me rather than being like, work should be work and I should struggle.
Right.
So
Mondays should all suck.
Yeah.
Fridays are all great. That is great. I didn't know that Tamara died, and I didn't know that she mentored you.
Yeah,
she was a great human being, one of the greatest human beings I've ever been around. Same deal. You sit in a room with that woman. Holy shnikes. I remember I'd known her like from the news and stuff. And then she all of a sudden joined this board. I'm like, oh my God, Tamara Zahn's on the board that I was on.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you feel like, oh my gosh, this is like a big kid.
Was a presence. She would come into the room and everybody knew and respected. And she was really
no
big.
Ego.
None,
no ego. She was so
really big in the
great.
Restoration of downtown Indianapolis getting people to come to the city, and was big in a bunch of the great events like the Super Bowl that we got, a little over just 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. Cool stuff. Yeah. All right. So next time we'll talk about the buyer side of this. Cool. All right. So you go get all self-aware. Then you come back. We'll talk about how to use that self-awareness with your buyers. All right. See you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.